All right, guys, we're doing something a little bit different today. As you know, I like to lower my trucks and make them fast, but this is my main daily driver. It's very functional. It's not a pavement queen. I use this thing to get out to job sites, so I still use my four-wheel drive, diff lock, all that. Trying to make this thing just a hair more functional and maybe look a little bit better. This is the factory wheels, which I'm quite fond of the factory wheels. I like the way they look, but they're sunken in about 1.5 inches. So I got some 1.5 inch spacers to pull it out a little bit, widen the stance up. And also, this site might not be the best for showing this, but there's a noticeable rake to these trucks. And I noticed that people put the 2-inch lifts, the front leveling kits on them, and it raises the front way too much, it looks like, at least in my opinion. And I don't really like that squatted type of look. I like there to be at least a minimal amount of rake to the truck still. So I went with a 1.5 inch kit. We'll see how it looks. If it looks like trash, I'll just take it off. But yeah, anyway, it's a 2019 Nissan Titan Pro-4X. It's the VK56, it's gas, 7-speed transmission, bone stock. Let's roll around back here to get a rear profile. You guys can see, same thing, kind of sucked in a little bit. Hopefully they don't look too ridiculous. If it does, I'll just return everything back to stock. But yeah, here we go. Kind of see how far in it is. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and install all this stuff and we'll see how she looks. Let's go get another front profile real quick. All right. Sweet. First up, we have the 1.5 inch billet leveling kit from Street Rays. I have bought a lot of stuff from Street Rays over the years. They have a little eBay store, really cool company. They make everything in-house, and they're actually 45 minutes away from where I live. They're in Central Texas. These things were $40 shipped to my front door. Comes with the hardware, installation instructions. I mean, other than there being a little bit of trash in the paint or coating or whatever they used for this, I don't think it's powder coat. It doesn't look thick enough, but whatever this paint coating is, other than that, I'm not going to complain. Again, I go and install this on the truck. I don't like the way it looks. It's 40 bucks. I'm not going to be too butthurt about it. Also, you may have noticed that this thing is less than 1 inch thick. So how could it possibly be 1.5 inch leveling kit? It's because the suspension geometry on the Titan is not a 1-to-1 ratio. So just want to throw that out there if you're looking at this thing scratching your head. Next up, we have the 1.5 inch wheel spacers, or 38 millimeter wheel spacers if you live somewhere where that matters. These are 6 by 5.5, so 5.5 inches is also 139.7 millimeters. So you might see it written as 6 by 139.7. These have a 77.8 millimeter Hub-centric bore on them, so they fit over the center bore on our trucks. These are 12 by 1.25 threads on these studs here. They come with the hardware to mount them to the truck, and then you just reuse your hardware to mount the wheels on it if you've not had wheel spacers before. It's pretty straightforward. I usually only buy my wheel spacers from 2 companies. The first one is Titan Wheel Accessories, and it's just a coincidence that they're called Titan. It has nothing to do with the truck itself. It's just what the company's name is. They make really great products. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody, to be honest. And then the other company is Bulletproof Off-Road Adapters, or colloquially known as Bora. Bora is going to probably be twice as expensive though. These are about $110 shipped to my door. Bora would have been probably around somewhere 240 bucks. They're like $68 a spacer from Bora. But Bora comes in handy a lot for me, especially if I really need custom stuff. So they can make that custom stuff for you, whereas Titan, not so much. They just you kind of got to buy what they have on hand. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get everything installed on the truck. All right, so here's the truck after the wheel spacers, but before the leveling kit. As you can see, I think it looks pretty darn good. The tire tread is still within the factory fender flares and the mud flaps. And surprisingly, there's no rubbing. I thought there was going to be a little bit, just because when you space the wheels out, you increase the wheel's arc of travel, and luckily it doesn't hit, so that's pretty cool. Let's see what else. Let's check out the other side. Still within the rear flare as well. just a hair outside of the lower mud flap though. But I like the way it looks. It turned out pretty good. Maybe the 1.25 inch spacers would have fit better. I'm not too sure, but let me zoom out. And I'm on relatively flat ground, so you can see the rake that I was talking about earlier. Hopefully that 1.5 inch leveling kit will correct, but I guess I'll move on to that next. All right, so before I put this leveling kit on, let's take some measurements. So we're sitting at about 37 inches in the front. Let's see. And about 39 inches in the back. So there's a 2-inch disparity between the two. So 1.5 should give me a 1/2 inch of rake that I'm looking for. All right, so installing this kit was a breeze. The installation instructions, I think, are a wee bit overcomplicated. To be honest, I didn't do half of this stuff. It wants you to remove the upper control arm ball joint and the outer tie rod end. Nah, didn't do all that. I didn't want to go and get an alignment either afterwards. No need to. So all I did is I lifted up the truck, got both front wheels off the ground, removed the front wheels, and then I unbolted the sway bar end links, pushed the sway bar down, put my floor jack up underneath the lower control arm to kind of support the strut body a little bit. I removed the upper strut nuts, and then I removed the lower strut bolt that bolts to the lower control arm. I released the floor jack, let the lower control arm sag. I pulled the strut assembly right out of the truck. Super easy, didn't have to fuss with anything else. I think the hardest part of this whole job was just rotating that lower eyelet on the strut assembly to where it actually aligned with the lower control arm mount, and that was pretty straightforward. I just sprayed the base of the strut with some PB Blaster. I got a crescent wrench and a cheater bar, and I used some spring compressors just to kind of take some tension off the coil body, and I was able to rotate it. And once you rotate it once, it kind of breaks free. Then I cleaned up the strut body, cleaned everything up, installed the 1.5 inch leveling kit spacer on top of the strut. Once that was done, I put it back in the truck. The eyelet was close. I needed to do a little fine tuning, so I did that with the crescent wrench. And then I pushed it in. I used a hardened dowel to kind of line up the eyelet a little bit better, put the bolt through, installed the strut, repeated on the other side. Once I was done with that, I hooked the sway bar back up, put the wheels back on, lowered the truck down. Easy peasy. So. And there she is, after wheel spacers and leveling kit. Around back real quick. We'll go all the way around the truck. Let's see. All right, let's do some measuring. So I went ahead and parked the truck in the same place I had it last time. The only difference is before I had a full tank of gas. Now I only have half a tank. Let's see what the front is. About 38 9/16 it looks like. Yep, exactly. So let's check out the rear. Put that down there. See, about 39 1/8. No, wait. About 39 1/16. No, it's about 39 1/8. Okay, so it's 39 1/8. So it's just a little over half an inch. rake on the truck, which is exactly what I wanted. So cool deal. Catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.